Hello and welcome to the Mummy School and another day of the 7-day sleep challenge. So today we're going to think about windows and cues. So you may have heard the term bandied about sleep windows and sleep cues. So let's think about sleep windows then. A sleep window is the natural time that our bodies want to go to sleep. It's a time when your body and your baby's body are producing the sleep hormone melatonin, and that makes us sleepy. So if for any reason we miss this sleep window, our body stops producing the melatonin, which helps us sleep, and switches to producing cortisol, which actually makes us act like we have just had a large dose of caffeine. So in a child, you'll get a wired effect. So lots of mums say things like, well, my son can't be tired, he's running round, he's going crazy, he wants to play, he's jumping all over the furniture, that kind. So you'll see that kind of behaviour if you've missed the sleep window. So how do you catch your child's sleep window then, or the optimal time for helping to get them to sleep and working with this natural hormone? Behaviour and the clock. So have you heard of the term sleep cues? So what are they? Well, there's certain behaviours or signals or actions that your child does when they're tired or ready to sleep. So a really common sleep cue that we probably all associate with being tired is yawning. So if you see an adult yawning or a child yawning, you think, oh, they're tired. So, but the thing is with the children's sleep cues is they're not always that easy to spot, and you have to become familiar with them, and you have to start learning your child's own sleep cues. So you have to start taking notice of the behaviour before they get tired. So a few examples of sleep cues are that your child or your baby may become quiet, or they may want to sit on your knee and cuddle and nurse with you and seem to want to be with you when they've been previously running around and playing. They might ask for a bottle or a dummy, or they might want to breastfeed, or they might start staring into space and look quite vague, or they just simply start to just sit and become still. They're not making as much noise, they're less vocal, they're not really interested in playing anymore. A common one's rubbing their eyes, another common one being, irritable, getting snappy, getting, tired, pulling hair, thumb sucking, pulling ears. So just start trying to be mindful and start watching your child's behaviour just before they're ready to have a sleep, and start taking note of some of the things that they do. Another thing that can help you to spot when they're tired is if you're not very good on picking up the cues and they're not very easy to spot, is to keep an eye on the time. So with looking at the child's sleep cues, you can also watch the clock and be aware of how long your child can physically stay awake in one go. So as a rough guide, a 3-month-old can only stay awake between going to sleep and waking for 1.5 to 3 hours. So if your child's just woken up, make a mental note of the time, or even write it down until you get a bit of fare with it. And just start watching for those sleep cues and the behaviour changing. Be mindful of how long the average child of the age of your child can stay awake. And then you sort of start to get a pretty good idea and piece it together how long they can stay awake and how long they should be staying awake before they start exhibiting these signs of sleep cues. So 3-month-old can stay awake between 1.5 and 3 hours. A 6-month-old, on average, the window of wakefulness is 2 to 3 hours before they start showing signs of being tired. And a 9-month-old, the window of wakefulness is 2 to 4 hours. At a year old, the sleep window's about 3 to 4 hours before they start showing signs of being tired. 18 months, 4 to 6 hours. 2 years, 5 to 6.5 hours. And 3-year-old, 6 to 8 hours. And actually, at 3 years old, quite a lot of children start no longer needing a nap at 3, so they can stay awake for a lot longer. And definitely at 4, when they're getting ready to go to nursery all day or to school, lots of children aren't napping, but some are. My 2 boys still napped when they were 4. Not as often, I have to say, but I did still find that they needed napping, a nap. So just be mindful. It's not hard and fast rules. Every child's different, and you know your child best, and you're going to start working on picking up those signs of if they need the naps. And again, 5 years old, they're no longer needing a nap. So if you miss your child's sleep window, they become overtired and they seem to have a second wind, which I've already explained. So it then becomes really hard to get them to quieten and settle down to go to sleep, because they've got all this cortisol, a bit like adrenaline, whizzing round the body and waking them up, and the melatonin isn't working in your favour. It's really, really difficult to get them to go to sleep. So it's in your best interest to start trying to figure out your child's cues and the average of how long they can stay awake before they need a nap, and try sort of pick up on those cues early and start trying to wind your child down with routine and quiet time, and that'll make it a lot easier for them to go to bed, because they're not whizzing round and jumping all over the furniture, and you're not getting agitated and shouting and wondering why they're not calming down. So just watch over the video again and have a think about some of the cues that your child might be showing.